Fog Racing back with F1 2022. Well, no, F1 22 because EA's making the game, so we dropped the 20 and we put in the 22. But we're here with the Bahrain Grand Prix, the first race of the season, and we're here in practice one. In terms of how the cars feel in this game compared to last, yes, they are a bit slower in real life. So obviously that's going to translate to the game compared to what they were last season. But you don't really notice it, like. It's not when they went from like 2013 to 14, or you go from 2016 to 17. The car is just very quick. Like, I feel like if you're driving a Ferrari or a Red Bull compared to like driving the Haas last year, it's going to be quicker. You know, you're just going to have more speed in certain areas of the track. Like, high speed is quicker, while low speed is definitely slower this year. And I noticed that immediately in Bahrain. I feel like in the slow speed corners I was a lot worse than the AI, but through the high speed I was a lot better than the AI, which is pretty important. But as you see here on a lap in practice, I mean, we're doing pretty well here, and then Prix just sends it in the inside, hits the rear right, and you're thinking, what the fuck is that guy doing? But in practice we finished P20, Norris in 18th, so it looks apparently clear here that Mclaren simply just don't have the pace. But moving into practice 2, of course, that'll be set in the quali time and the race where it's a bit more at night. And the pace definitely improved. I mean, in terms of finding the setup, I went with 4, I went with 5 for straight line speed, but when you're that bad through the corners, your straight line speed becomes irrelevant, so you just need to settle for downforce. But as you can see, we're a decent amount off here in practice 2. Not exactly ideal, but moving on, hopefully the pace can improve throughout the weekend. Practice is in the books. Leclerc first for science. Ferrari looking very dominant. In fact, actually, fuck, I didn't even look at the gaps there. But yeah, I mean, the grid's looking toasty enough. I mean, you might take Ferrari it, and then there's us. I mean, well, McLaren just a shit show. I mean, at least you could argue with Norris that it was on the slower compound, but then there's me, a million miles off at the back. And to be honest, I think quali here, I mean, it's almost like, what's the fucking point even setting laps? We might as well save the fucking engine, but we're going to go for it! And aye, hopefully we can mingle with Latifi for 19th place, but it's looking like 20th, guys, unless there's a miraculous or something. Here it is, guys, qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Crofty, what you going to say? Hee-haw. We just, like, I've tried different setups. I've tried setup 3, 4, 5. I looked online, there's no setups yet. The game is just out, like, you know, early access and all that stuff, but I'm yet to extract the maximum, right? Because at the start of an F1 game, it's pretty hard to actually, you know, sync it up, link it up, actually be able to fucking do it, you know. But I'm 1.1 off Latifi, like, you know, if it was like fucking half a second, you could be like, right, I could find it here and there, perfect lap, get close to him. But I just don't see how I'm not finishing 20th in this session. With Sergio Perez in front of us, you know what, his slipstream may be all we need, guys, for a comfortable lap here. And hopefully we can just follow Sergio. We're in quali mode, this is it. And like over the fuck, I mean, not even the first 2 sectors, like, you see the gap that Perez has pulled on me, and I've actually drove a pretty decent lap so far. You know, it's a bit of a disgrace, but as they would say in the Sky coverage, sound up. I mean, look at the gap we had going onto the pit straight. You know, we're both on our quali hot laps, and I'm fucking, like, the gap is embarrassing here. It's embarrassing. Like, where the fuck is he? He's down the road. A 9.5, I mean, that's better than what we've been doing, like, but we need to absolutely send it here for this fucking final chicane. Damage the car underneath, probably. I mean, we've lost quite a lot of time there. I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's at a 20. What can we do? 32.3. So, what the fuck, if we went quicker than Norris? Fucking hell, where have we pulled the quality pace for? Maybe everyone else was running in the engine mode, so we were supposed to be running in. Or maybe McLaren's just pish. Well, his first sector basically explains why he's so far off. See, to be honest, like, I can improve, like, what, 4 tenths, maybe, in the final sector. But when the gap is so fucking big, you know, what chance have you got? Nah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't want to be a defeatist, but I can't improve. I'm hoping Lando doesn't go again, and it's a, I mean, it's looking very well, like a Red Bull Red Bull a McLaren back row fucking job here. I mean, hopefully, I think McLaren, I think Norris moved up the grid a bit there. Leclerc, I don't know if that's going to be actual grid, just been knocked out, of course. If we move over, Norris actually scraped through. Fucking hell, fair play. The pace just ain't there. You know? It ain't there. It really ain't. Like, I'm hoping it comes to me.
Yesterday puts him in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Bottas, Fernando Alonso, Magnussen, and Pierre Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, and Norris, Joe, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, and Alex Albon, Latifi, and Stevens. And now it's time to head down to the track. So here we are in 2022 at the start of another Formula One World Championship. It all begins here, the start of the next generation of Formula One. With the end of the second turbocharged era, a new dawn begins. New regulations have been brought in to promote better racing, with the two big standout changes being the wheel size increase and the aerodynamics on the car itself. But will this result in us having a repeat fight for the Driver Championship? Will Mercedes retain their Constructors' title? We have lots to discuss then with Anthony Davidson, who's joined me in the commentary box for today's event.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Let's hope for some good racing today as well. We can't know at this point how competitive the teams are relative to each other, but hopefully nobody's able to run and hide. We want to see these drivers pushing to the limit all the way to the checkered flag.
Okay, new season, and we're starting at the back. So
we're here for the first race of the F122 Career Mode Series, and we're away from back of the grid because qualifying was shite. But we've got the two Williams in front. To be honest, if you just keep your nose clean in this first race and finish, you should get a decent result. So that's exactly what we're going to do. There is a bit of lag in the air. Don't know what happened, but there's lag. But into turn one, I mean, we managed to get the jump on two Williamses and Vettel, but it was pretty apparent from this point. We just had no pace. I mean, Albon is faster than us. Like, the race pace was better than quali. I don't know. I feel like on the medium tyre, it's very consistent there. Though that corner was just tricky for the. I mean, it was tricky for me, but for the AI, it's especially tricky. Bit of team orders here. Decided to let Norris through on lap 6 because there's no point really holding him up. But here comes an interesting part. It was good to see AI make mistakes. Latifi drops it. Vettel crashes straight into him. That brought out the safety car, but I mean that's what you like to see, man. You like to see it as realistic as possible. But I decided to stay out. Now this was risky, but I was kind of banking on a second safety car here. We're currently 10th, so I thought the risk was actually worth it to stay out because some of these people are on softs and they're going to have to pit again anyway. But end of turn 1, I managed to risk it in Magnussen, but he gets a better exit on the softs and kind of puts us to bed. But Perez, engineer, came over the radio and said that he had an engine problem or something, so that was interesting. Gasly there flies off the track. We've got 14 laps to go. Now we've got Stroll trying to overtake us, but at this point everyone who was on softs ahead of us have actually pitted, and we're trying to defend. We managed to defend from Stroll, but we have now Carlos Sainz and Ocon battling us with just so many fucking cars trying to overtake us. Ocon's got the DRS. We're in the slipstream trying to beat him, but we're trying our best here, but on tyres that are just non-existent and dead, it is pretty hard to get the job done. And Ocon is flying, but now Sainz in our slipstream overtakes us. Carlos Sainz, but drops it like Latifi did. Nowhere to go. We lose our front wing. Absolute chaos. I love to see these mistakes in the AI. I can't deny it. But then second safety car. We pit for the softs, kind of what we wanted, but loads of retirements at this stage, 4, and now we're on softs with the Ferraris, but there's 9 laps to go. Can these softs last the distance? I mean, the AI proved they could only go about 6 laps, but hopefully the advantage we have at the start of this stint will get us up back into the points, but we're going for all these guys are on hard, so we should have an advantage. We're past the Ferrari and Leclerc, we're past Gasly, we've got Albon and Guan Yu Zhou in front of us here. on the hard compound, so we get past him. Joe is now battling Carlos Sainz, who's on the soft tire. He's also set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So us and the two Ferraris are absolutely flying at this stage of the race. Guan Yu Zhou now, just at the start of Sector 2, we overtake him, and this is what I love, man. See, when you're on like the fastest compound just after the safety car, it's phenomenal. But at this point, loads of cars are coming into the pits. We've managed to get back up to the points, but Charles Leclerc, too much pace. The Ferrari's just too quick at this point. Gasly as well is also very good in a straight line, but we managed to hold on to Gasly, but we lose out to Leclerc. Next up though, Gasly flies off the track. Well, no, it's Sainz actually, who's actually pitted at this stage. So they've pitted, re-pitted. Now we're on to the last lap. Gasly and Leclerc right behind us. Sainz dropped out due to that mistake. Gasly goes for it, Leclerc goes for it. We late break. There's a bit of contact with damage to the body work underneath. Now Gasly, well, I mean, this has to be one of the most audacious moves I've ever seen from the fucking... I mean, he literally ramps up the rear wing. Replay shows me he literally just ramps up the rear wing, but now with two Ferraris on fresher softs than us, Leclerc, we kind of barged him off the road, to be honest, but considering how they fucking raced me this race, I don't think there was anything wrong with that, but they're on fresh tyres. We've got half a lap to go to get a point in our first race. Surely you think we'll do it, but there's front wing damage, there's downforce damage. I mean, we're probably losing about 20 points of downforce. Verstappen has won the race. We're just looking for points. Both Alpines bottled it, by the way. Both were sitting in the points and then they both dropped out. But this is it. We are now going into the final corner. I mean, at this stage, Sainz is 6 tenths behind us. You're thinking, right, we've guaranteed a point in the first race. There's only like 15 finishers. But as you can see, heartache on the last lap. I tried to defend, but I mean, you can't do anything illegal here. I mean, you can't force him in. And he actually pips us on the line, beats us by less than, what, half a tenth? Fucking 500ths of a second over the line. Absolutely depressing. Here's the final classification with Verstappen from Perez, Russell, Norris, our teammate up there, Magnussen, Hamilton, Stroll, Ocon, Alonso, Sainz, and then ourselves in P11. So could have been points in the first race, but it wasn't. But you know what? It gives you confidence, because when a new game comes out, especially you need to be so precise and shit like that. You need to build it over laps. And next up, Saudi Arabia. Hopefully we don't get beheaded.